Hello, I Divya Momaya, founder of Mentor My Board. Welcome you all to this exclusive series by Free Press Journal in association with Mentor My Board. The series is Grow with Governance. Yes, the focus of this series is on the role of independent directors in business growth and sustainability. Mentor My Board is a platform to groom, nurture, and handhold promoters, independent directors, women directors, board aspirants with a vision to create a community of 1 lakh directors and has been providing a virtual platform to the directors, mentors, and corporates. Free Press Journal is more than 9 decades old newspaper. Today, Free Press Journal has gone beyond just being a print medium, and as it has a strong digital presence with its large online subscribers for their e-paper. Free Press Journal has been a quite active in a webinar space since lockdown. Even before lockdown, Free Press Journal was actively involved in policy level discussions. And at this present initiative organized today is the part of Free Press Journal's ongoing strategy to create awareness on various policy level topics. In this series, we have come with our exclusive interview with Dr. Meeta Dikshit. Now, Meeta is playing an important role today in India Inc. and in various board capacities. She has been contributing immensely to the evolution of board leaders and especially into the family business segment. Now, Bharti will introduce her in detail. Now, let me introduce our moderators for today. Bharti, our eminent advisor to Mentor My Board, and she has been insurance governance professionals with 3 decades of experience. Jessilia is principal correspondent representing Free Press Journal. So, over to both of you. Thank you, Bharti and Jessilia, and welcome Meeta to this interview series. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's a very warm welcome, Divya. Thank you. Yeah, and I'm so pleased to be back with you, Meeta, because that scintillating program which we had earlier on Mentor My Board, left a lot of memories. Wonderful feedback we received on your account. So I will just take you through Meeta's really, great profile, absolutely studded with achievements. Dr. Meeta Dixit is a co-founder and director at Equations, which is a family business advisory company in Mumbai. Meeta guides multi generational business families on family governance, generational transitions, succession strategies, and organizational transformation. She also facilitates family members to align their diverse aspirations and roles, communicate effectively, and separate management aspects from ownership, which is a really hard task. Her specialization is the development of family charters, family constitutions, and family business boards. With over 2 decades of experience in family business advisory services, management consulting, and strategic marketing services, Meeta has helped over 100 family businesses across several industries. Meeta herself is an independent director on the boards of listed companies, and she's a doctorate PhD in family business management and a certified family business advisor from the Family Firm Institute USA. She has also co authored a number of books, including the 5 Gs of family business, which has won a lot of praise. She writes articles and research papers in international publications and also teaches in family business programs. Wonderful to have you here, Mita. Like I said last time, we had such a warm this thing about you, such a good feedback. Wonderful to have you here. Welcome, Mita. Good evening.
Thank you. Thank you, Bharti, for being so generous in my introduction, praising me. And I thank Jessilia and Free Press Journal also for giving this opportunity to interact with hundreds and thousands of independent directors and people, those who are in the field. I'm sure that our conversation is going to be very interesting, and I think Divya is the spearheading the whole initiative. She's a great motivator and a force behind women independent directors. I must say that she's doing a wonderful work there. So it's my pleasure to be with you and interact with you and share my experiences and learnings. I think we all learn from each other's experiences, and that's the
True.
best which we could do and I could share with you. Yes.
Wonderful. So, Jessica, with your permission, I'd like to kickstart this. This thing is that you are board member on a listed company, and also your area of excellence is in managing governance in family boards. You could almost say that in Indian companies which are family owned, the word governance is sort of contraindicatory, because ownership and distancing yourself from management in a professional way. So how did you come on a board of a listed company? How are you managing the show with family run companies? And what do you feel as an independent director are the challenges which face independent directors on family run businesses? So first we'll split it as your journey onto the board, because we would love to hear from you about your journey, and then your experiences on family run boards.
All right. Thank you. So there are several questions here, Bharti, and I'm going to take the one, two, three. I will just share my experiences and see not so much in order, in general, to give my views. First thing, let me tell you about my board journey, how it started, and what has happened, and where am I today. My interest in corporate governance as a subject, that started around 2008. I was doing my PhD in Indian family businesses, and particularly about their conflict and splits. Now, that was a time when Satyam scam had happened, and the corporate governance was a buzzword everywhere in the discussion in the business world. And also, we all know that the new era of corporate governance started with the time of Satyam scam. And I was incidentally was doing my PhD that time. So I analyzed companies, top 500 listed companies on Bombay Stock Exchange, their market cap, and I found that almost 69% of them, they were controlled by promoter families and family branches, and they were the largest equity holders. So the boards of these companies were composed of obviously the promoter family members, non-family executives, and also professionals. I could see through statistics and through analysis and through various published reports, before I started talking to families, I could see the effectiveness of these boards of 500 companies was reflecting their market capitalization. That means the effectiveness of the board had direct impact or direct relationship with the market capitalization. The higher the market capitalization, the better was the board management. Of course, now I'm talking about 2008, 2009, and that era. A lot of changes have happened since then in the corporate world, of course. But for me, that was the journey of getting into corporate governance, or getting into understanding the nuances of governance, especially at the family front and at the business front.
Absolutely.
So, in families, or say family owned and managed businesses, or family listed companies, or family promoter driven companies, we see that families governance, and that is promoters governance, and corporate governance, they both are sides of two sides of a coin. They are not separate, they cannot be separated, they have to work in tandem. And that is where I learned a lot about corporate governance, family governance, and have been mixing them, intermingling them, and seeing that how the family promoters can make the best use of governance. Now, in since last 10 years, as my journey as a family business advisor, when I guide promoter families and their generations, especially the younger generations, to create the culture of governance and professionalization, I find that an agile and progressive board is a must for a company, for every corporate. Even if it's a privately held company or it is listed company, but for every business enterprise, a board which is progressive in its thinking and agile in changing with times in their thinking, in taking their decisions, or developing strategies, or guiding the promoters or the board members is essential. And having interacted with hundreds of owner families and getting deeper insight into what keeps them together, what breaks them, what separates them, how do they build their legacies, and how do they just let the things go off and get off their growth paths. is something I find that there are three things which are extremely important, and it's in my board journey which I found. One is the management of the board, transparency, systems, processes. That's a must. I'm not using the terminology, technical terminology. I'm just making, or say, talking in a way plain, simple language which I understand, and I think all
Day to day.
families understand.
Sure.
So, board management is essential, and most important is the roles and responsibilities of board members, especially when they are related. They are promoters, that means they are owners, as well as they are related by birth or by marriage or the family relationships. So there, the difficulties come. A lot of dichotomy happens and misalignment happens when I'm the father, I'm the chairman of the board, and I'm also the founder of the business, and I have been in the business for 35 years. Now, my son and my nephew are there in the business. They are in the directors or executive directors position, and their thinking, my thinking, others' thinking, my board members who are there with me, advisors for a long time, trusted advisors, or the directors who are professionally very competent. How do you get all of them aligned in a board alignment, or say board members alignment of their thinking, is extremely important. And that is where I think over a period I have learned through various corporate governance programs, role of independent directors. And in 2018, I was invited to be on the boards of two listed companies. So as an independent director, and of course for Equations Advisors, my co-founded company, I'm a director. So my going on, and I'm seeing a big gap at this moment for the promoter families who are not yet into listed company space, who have not yet experienced the corporate governance at its top or at its best level, but they are aspiring to be there in that listed public space with all governance mechanism in place. And so there is a gap, and there is a lot of changes which are happening.
Can you describe a few instances? You need not name any names, but both with regard to the listed company and with regard to your, advice, what you have been advising. Any instances where this dichotomy between governance and family owned, because companies are a concept which is mainly there in India. And
Yeah.
you have been an advisor to a lot of eminent companies, eminent promoters. So, any instances where you felt that governance went for a toss, or because of your intervention, governance was actually looked at? That will be very interesting. You don't need to name names, but
Yeah.
it'll be very nice. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I will give you two examples. Two things. One, you see that how do family members or their governance impacts the organization's working, or the culture of the organization. Whether we get into a absolutely professional management, or we talk about semi-professional management, but when there are promoters who are there on the in the board, and the family members, more than two family members in the board, then it's deep down the family's values which are there for, and which are passed on, maybe if it's two, three, four generations old businesses, and if they're passed on to their younger generation, then they reflect in a very bright way, I would say. Let me give you example. As you said, recently, now we are living in the era, post pandemic era, and I think our time overall globally, the time zone is divided into two, or say it was pre pandemic, and now we are into post pandemic. So we got now two eras of time. Now in post pandemic, or say during pandemic, all companies went through difficulties, and some are still continuing to face difficulties, and some companies had excellent opportunities for growth. One of my experiences with the companies where I'm on the board, and the companies into pharmaceutical space, there were challenges because the factories being far away places, and for commuting, or say keeping the factories on, the family always has held the values of treating their employees as family members. I think many companies have these values, so I'm not saying that's the only company, but many promoters and many families believe that at even at the cost of their profitability, even at the cost of their um, uh, expenses which they'll have to incur, or financial difficulties, they must see that their families, the extended family of employees, is safe and secure. Now, here this company, where the father and the sons, the second generation, or say third generation, they all together had no qualms about all of us at the board, discussed, decided without any discussion or thinking twice, that all the employees will be retained in the company, irrespective of they can come to work, they cannot come to work or so, and they will be paid salaries.
Very
So
nice.
was almost, yeah, 4 6 months of gap that happened, and the work was not on, the companies were closed, but still no employee was retrenched or
Yes.
was not paid. Now, where does this decision happen? So how does this decision happen, especially when the family is promoting the business? It lies deep down, it is there in the culture of the family, and which percolates down to the culture of the organization and the culture of the business, and definitely to the board culture. Many times I see that the board culture, if when there are experts and experienced non-family members who are there part of the board, then they drive and they help the promoters to steer their decisions in a, right perspective, rather than just getting into a familial area of nepotism, or conflict or differences in the way of working. So that also happens. So so I think that examples are many, examples are of different types, but what is most important is the promoters, their values, their alignment of interests of family members and non-family executives, and alignment of interests in the board, and transparency in the culture, transparency in communication and decision making. These are the factors which make the companies grow, sustain, and become legacy enterprises, or fail and just vanish from the business platform.
Right. So, if compared to the past, if you go to big companies like Tata's, Birla's, or 4 5 generation of large multinationals, uh, they have what do you think they did differently, or they realized at the earlier stage that the other 4 5 generation companies, who were in business, but then they lost the whole path. So, what did do you think these companies did differently?
Yeah. So, if you really see, then most of these companies, I think 95% of these companies, the large corporates who have built their legacies,
Yes.
they were started when family members joined them. Whether we take Tata or Godrej or Mahindra, all the families have the promoter families have been in the business. The big difference, or say the only difference, I would rather say, which matters here, to separate, or say to see that this companies have structures in place with corporate governance, is that they have been able to separate their management roles and ownership roles. And this is not an easy exercise. It is time consuming, it requires tremendous resilience, but the more you learn as the promoter, you learn to wear different hats: hats of an owner, hats of the manager or the leader. When you learn to wear those hats and take decisions in the situations, then the entire governance aspect falls in place. It takes time, it takes a lot of practice, it takes trial and error, I would say, seat of the pant approach for many companies or the promoters. But the large companies, why they have been so successful, they have sustained, and they are legacy businesses for 4 5 generations, is they have been able to look at the business from business perspective, and ownership from ownership issues, and not mix up these two. So this is, I think, the trick of their success.
Yeah. So, what would your advice be to,
Yeah,
independent directors or directors or part of a family-run business when they are, looking at
yeah,
joining the board, or
yeah.
yeah, going about
Yeah.
with their journey?
Okay. Yeah. So I have, yeah, my learnings, from my learnings, what I would share and see that any independent director or the aspiring independent directors, number one, uh, they need to be very good in their domain. It doesn't have to be the domain of expertise of where they are all going to be on which company. Their domain, they are experts, so then they know their area very well. And another thing is that as an independent director, what you develop, it happens, you learn with time, with experience, is to develop a mindset where you don't get emotionally attached with the board, or say the decisions of the board or the business or so, but you look at it as a third party, and you are the gatekeeper of stakeholders. So playing that role in a in an independent manner, and give your expertise, whatever is your domain expertise, give it to the board or the business, is extremely important. Now, why, when I interact with families, and I interact with independent directors, and I see that some directors are experts on finance, accounting, some are experts on HR, human resource, organizations, some are technically they are savvy, some are very good coaches and behavioral experts on behavior, uh, or any expertise. But the board is such a set of, or board is such a mechanism which has board is a mechanism which has got tremendous strength, and which also has got potential of derailing from the objectives, in their decisions once in a while. So I think independent directors, we as independent directors, we must develop the skills of being open in our thinking, and also looking at the business in a very rational, objective manner. I think training, coaching, grooming of independent directors is extremely important, and I think Mentor My Board is doing an excellent job in that. And now, Free Press and this whole platform, I think it's also has got the objective of other independent directors to see and learn from the experiences of others, as I said earlier. So, my advice to board members, or say independent directors, is be have your perspective to see that the businesses or the decisions are taken for the benefit of stakeholders, and provide your expertise, whatever is your expertise, your area, to the board. Definitely, there is a requirement of some expertise to the board members. My advice to board members who are from the family, they and especially privately held companies where the boards are there, but the boards do not require very stringent governance mechanism, corporate governance mechanism. But I would say that there is no harm in making your privately held companies board also as good as corporate board, or at least 80-90% of your board and systems can be like corporate boards. So this is where,
Please do touch upon your book and the 5 Gs. One, as you said, is governance. And can you please tell
yeah,
about the other 4 Gs?
yeah, I would say yes, Bharti. It all starts, any business that starts by a founder, the entrepreneur. We all know that entrepreneurs or so. So that is the seed of the business, or say, I would say, the beginning of the business. The starting point of the business is very important, very crucial. The entrepreneurship which is built in the business has to be there across generations for any business to succeed for a long time. So first G is Genesis, your beginning, your entrepreneurship, your values. So where are these values? Many times I'm coming across, and I'm sure you also know, that some social values, religious values, even the generations move next generation to next generation, but they maintain those values of sacrifice, values of maintaining harmony, even if one has to sacrifice personal goals or so. I'm not talking about good or bad. I'm just saying that these are certain values that the families carry with them. Communication and respect for others, and transparency in their openness, in their relationships, and in their businesses also with business employees. So some values which are there. Trust is a very very big value which families have to have, trust in each other. So Genesis is the beginning, or your starting point, your entrepreneurship. That is the first G. Once you are already in the business, without growth, the business is not going to survive. And I keep on quoting these numbers, 33, 13, 3. That's the formula. 33 out of 100 businesses fail in their first generation itself. 13 businesses go to the second third generation, and only 3 businesses they survive till the fourth generation. So growth is essential, or it's a must. I mean, without that the businesses would not survive. uh, Third is governance, and next, and fifth is giving back. These are the 5 pillars. Now let's see governance. I've already shared my views on governance, whether these are 2 generations, 3 generations, their beliefs change, their views change over a period, the environment changes, business model changes. So if they want to survive, the families have to continuously keep on track, what they want to go, or where they want to go, or who they are, and their vision, and their roles, their expectations. They need to be balanced, and the equations have to be right. Well, this is something which I'm saying it as an advisor. How to do is again another big issue. But yes, these few things the families must keep in mind, that their alignment of their aspirations is a must for the business to grow. Generation next, when it comes on board, or especially in the business board, they require a lot of time to get the business started. And many times the families don't do that. They don't share success stories of their grandfathers or great grandfathers. And that is where I think they need to know what is our culture, what are our roots, where do we belong to, from where we came. And such stories, family histories, that helps a lot in younger generation to stay connected with the values. And the last part is, or say, I think all the entrepreneurs, all the businesses, I would say, believe in, and that is giving back to the society. Because what you are today as a business, and your success, has all happened or has depended on so many other entities, and that is the society, and so many stakeholders. So giving back to your society, to your stakeholder, is the value which families carry. So these are the 5 Gs: Genesis, growth, Gen Next, governance, and giving back.
Yeah, because
Bharti?
giving
Okay.
back, yeah, it's absolutely wonderful what you have said, encapsulated so beautifully. And giving back, maybe the fifth, but last is not least. And that is most important, because the one which is sustaining you is the society.
Yeah,
And if you
true.
don't give it back to the society, how will they sustain you?
Yeah,
Because it's a
true.
symbiotic relationship at the end of the day.
Yes.
So
And
the
it is,
society supports us and we support the society.
yes, and it's all gratitude. So we, unless we have gratitude inbuilt in our system, the whole anarchy will come up. I mean, the whole equation will go bad with the business and society and individuals and the whole mechanism. So I think harmony comes with the sense of gratitude. So families, they understand, and they make the best use of this value.
Very, very different perspective. You always bring, Mitaji, to these conversations on the boardroom. So thank you so much for being here. So over to you, Jessilia, for the
Yeah.
closing remarks.
Thank you, Mitaji, for all the time you gave us the opportunity. It was nice hearing your experience, and also understanding, how this family-run businesses go about at this point of time, and how governance is important for them.
Go on.
So, from this session, I took up few points which I would like to highlight. Is one, you
Yeah.
said agile. a progressive board is a must,
Yeah.
which I think is a really important point that you made, and also the point that board members, board members which have more than two family members, they have family values included in their professional atmosphere as well. So I think that is something, I think I'll take out from this discussion. Also, the point where you said to the advice of keeping emotional aspect of things away from the board, which is and keeping more practical approach on the board will be important for all the board members, which I think was also very interesting part you highlighted. So I would like to take this opportunity to thank you, and on behalf of Free Press Journal and Mentor My Board, for giving us this time. And I would like to inform that this session is part of an ongoing series that Free Press and Mentor My Board is organizing, and this will be printed in our print edition, and also
Okay.
the videos will be appearing on our YouTube channels, Free Press and Mentor My Board. And thanks a lot for
Oh, thank
talking to
you.
us.
That's wonderful. I think you're doing very good. I mean, you are giving back to the community of independent directors in a big way. So I really appreciate that, and I thank you, all three of
Thanks a
you,
lot.
for inviting me. Thank you.